Hey everybody, welcome to the next project. Today we're taking kind of a quick teaser introductory testing look at a couple different tools that I am working on designing, evolving, testing to work together to help me do a number of different things. We are working on a big 6x80 belt sander, which is a great big long sanding belt that I can use to sand flat a lot of different things. And a tool that will be used with that sander. This is already a version 2 of that tool, so I can make compound or conical radius fingerboards. It's going to get weird. Well, let's start the next project. There are no doubt dozens of ways to accomplish the task that I will have at hand. There's the good old hand plane, there are routers and various other things. We could make an inverted router pendulum type device. Here's another one. This one actually mounts the end of a bench. That's kind of nice. It's not a freestanding thing. Maybe a little easier to put away. There's the CNC, which would be great if I had a great big shop and deep pockets and time to learn the software and have a spare computer sitting around, all that good stuff. There's big industrial equipment like the Grizzly fingerboard sander, which is great. I like the belt sander. This guy actually made a belt sander and an overarm swing sander. So I think I'm going to borrow some ideas from everybody and throw in a couple things of my own. As we start the next project. There are a few things we have to have in mind before we start this project. We need to know what radius we're going to have at the first and last fret. We need to know the length of the fingerboard blank we're using. We need to know the distance from the nut and the last fret to the ends of the board. We need to know the offset of the cams to the board that we're going to be radiusing. We actually also need to know the actual projected radius from the ends of the board to the cams. So depending on how far the cams are pushed away from the ends of the board, we'll change the radius of the cams to achieve our target radius on the fretboard. What? Yeah, there's other stuff too. Let's just jump right into it. This is a test of a bunch of ideas all coming together at the same time, the same place. We have got a 6x80 belt sander prototype about 80% done. Well, it runs. That's all we can say for it, really. Printed some 3D cams to hopefully test the concept of creating a conical or compound fingerboard radius. Let's give it a shot. So we're starting our proof of concept testing. I've got a piece of figure maple baked in the oven in the kitchen. It is pre-slotted, 25.5 inch scale. It is over thickness. It is about a 1/16 of an inch thicker than I need, and I've got a number of things working against me. My custom homemade belt sander works well. I've only got a 120 belt for it at the moment, so it's a little bit fine for an initial heavy cut like this. The motor I'm using is off of my buffer. Works great for the buffer. It's a little underpowered for a sander. I probably need 1.5 horse motor for this sander. It's easy to bog it down the way it is. If I put 80 or 100 grit paper on it and I pushed it all, it would probably stop the motor altogether. So that's something for the future to think about. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to peel the board off of here, take it over thickness, a fair amount off it. Get it closer to the final 1/4 inch thickness down the middle, and then we'll come back, stick it back on my radiusing apparatus here, and we'll get back to sanding. Another thing I need to do is rig up a dust extraction for this. While it's sanding slow, it's doing a nice job, feels really good, but it is creating fine dust out the back. We don't need to be breathing that. So I'll be right back with a slightly rough and rethicknessed board, and we'll continue the next project. So this is a big project that seems strange and unnecessary on the surface, perhaps, unless you've met me. The idea behind this is to create a multi-use tool, and also to help me do better work on an upcoming project that we don't even know about yet. Well, I know about it. It's in the mail. It'll be here soon. It will be on the bench in the very near future. part of that project is making a conical fingerboard for an existing guitar, making that fingerboard out of Richlite, which is a pretty hard material, hard to sand, hard to shape, and also including some mother of pearl inlays in that. Okay, so shaping a Richlite fingerboard can be done. I've got router fixtures for that. Installing mother of pearl inlays is not a big deal. I can do that, and it can all be sanded. But the delicacy of the inlays and the hardness of the Richlite, I wanted to get away from using rasps and sandpapers and the router. I thought this style approach, the sand away approach, would be best in the long run. And it also gives me a future tool to use for other things. This big sander will come in handy for a lot of other things. It's not just dedicated to making fingerboards. So, multiple use tool. That's a big plus. Also, it's easily stored. It's only about 5 inches tall from the top of the bench to the top of the sandpaper. It's 12 inches wide, like 40 inches long, roughly. So, it can sit on its side and put it in the attic. I could slide it under a bed. It could be tucked away, stowed. It could be hung on a wall. A number of options for the sander to go away. The motor is used for my benchtop buffer, so the motor already serves multiple purposes, but that motor is too small for this job. It's not going to be seen running this machine again. Long extruded aluminum piece we have here is actually borrowed from another tool that I've made. It's a neck shaping fixture. So I just pulled the 3D printed parts off of that, printed up some new parts to fit my radius dimensions for testing. I have a 12-inch radius end and a 16-inch radius end. Each of those radius cams are 1 inch smaller than the radius that I'm sanding, just because of the offset of the bridge pieces that are straddling the sanding belt. Pretty well wraps up our test video, test of concept video for our drum sander with a conical radius apparatus that will ride on top of it to create conical radius or compound radius fingerboards. It is still too wide for an actual neck, so it'll get cut down, so we'll have a thicker side wall to the fingerboard once it's trimmed to size. We can still deepen the fret slots if needed, but I think they'd be okay at this point. Right now, what am I going to say? We got a 12 to 16. I'm at 0.225 thickness at the center, so I'm thinner than I wanted to be, but that's okay. This is a test board. I just need to pay attention to what I'm doing. And I had used some veneer shims to jack everything up, and I took those out at the end and dropped it down. That was the thickness I needed to stay with. I needed to have that extra 20 thousandths roughly of height, lifting the apparatus off the sanding belt. So that was good. Another thing I learned, I used a 120 grit sanding belt. A little too fine, took too long, ran slow. But I'm also using a 3/4 horsepower electric motor that I use for my benchtop buffer. Works great for that. It's underpowered for this size sander. It doesn't work well for a 6x80 sanding belt. So looking that up, recommended is 1.5 to 2 horsepower motor. So next time we see this, be a new motor strapped to it. But the test of concept worked really well. I'm looking forward to beefing this up a little bit. You know, Tim the Toolman Taylor, more power. I think that can happen. So, thank you very much for hanging out with me through this test of a head-scratching, what is he doing now kind of project. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. I'd greatly appreciate that. Ring the bell for future notifications. Who knows what I'm doing next? Hit the thumbs up button. Lets YouTube know I do crazy stuff that keeps you entertained for 10 or 15 minutes. Leave comments. Love hearing from everybody all around the world. Crazy ideas that you've got going on, things you're burning up, blowing up in your backyard. That's fun too. Anyway, take care of yourself and those around you. Till next time, bye. But wait, there's still more. There's always more. Every time I think I'm done with something, I decide to jump back in and do a little bit more to it. Here we're taking a look at the bare bones belt sander with a 3/4 horse electric motor. We're also working on upgrading the rocking apparatus for the fingerboards. What I figured out as I was printing some 3D parts is I should make a center notch on the pieces that attach to the fingerboard to help center the fingerboard on the rocking apparatus. I do have the ability to print different radius end cams. So if I need a 7 1/4 to 10 or 7 1/4 to 12, I could do that. I could do a 12 to 20, whatever I need. The center pieces are 2-inch length pieces, and I just stack them together to get the length that I need for whatever the fingerboard is. So if I'm doing a standard guitar, we're good. If I'm doing bass, I can just add some more pieces. I've also just acquired a 1.5 horse electric motor, and here we're slowly putting you to sleep. You're falling into a deep trance. Set it up for counterclockwise rotation, which is what I need. Thanks for watching.